Anthony Land is pristine once again. Anthony used his learning about rhetoric to make a persuasive argument to the real-world city council. And best of all, he convinced them to clean up their act.
Hey everyone! Look around! No more green goo! We did it! My argument convinced the city council to clean up their pollution. But I know we need more than just a one-time job. We need lasting change to keep Anthony Land safe.
Anthony realizes that to ensure a sustainable future for Anthony Land, he must take his argument skills to the next level.
I need to craft an argument that not only makes sense, but also resonates deeply with the values and emotions of my audience. By doing this, I can motivate them to act and create a cleaner, healthier future.
And so, Anthony heads back to the real-world library, determined to learn from another masterful argument. His mission? To appeal to his audience with such compelling arguments that they lead to sustainable change.
Let's go learn from the best to save Anthony Land now and for years to come. Welcome back to the Real World Library. Today we're exploring the Declaration of Sentiments, a key text from the women's rights movement, to uncover how the authors appealed to their audience so effectively. But first, let's establish the rhetorical situation of the text using We Camp. This will give us a solid foundation for understanding the author's strategies. First, the writers were a group of women's rights activists, led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who were passionate about ending gender discrimination and securing equal rights for women. Next, exigence. The writers were motivated by the widespread inequality and lack of rights for women in the mid-19th century. They wanted to highlight these injustices and demand change. Context? The document was presented in 1848 at the first Women's Rights Convention in the United States. This was at a time when women had very few legal rights, couldn't vote, and were largely excluded from public and political life. The primary audience was the attendees of the convention, but the writers also aimed to reach a broader audience, including lawmakers, influential figures, and the general public. Their message focuses on the women's grievances and their right to equality. Finally, purpose. The purpose was to call for equal rights for women, to inspire activism, and to provoke societal and legislative change. Now that we have a clear picture of the rhetorical situation, let's figure out how these writers made their argument more compelling by appealing to their audience. They relied on three specific appeals: credibility, emotion, and logic. To get started, think about this quote. Does it sound familiar? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. Whoa! That sounds a whole lot like the famous quote from the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Oh, I see. The authors modeled the language of the historical document, but added the word women. How do you think using the same language as the Declaration of Independence could help establish the author's credibility? Pause the video while you think. I'm thinking that by alluding to the Declaration's language, the authors show that they understand and respect the country's core values. Aligning themselves with respected historical figures makes them seem legitimate and trustworthy. This is an example of ethos, which is one of Aristotle's three appeals of persuasion. Ethos is all about authors building credibility and trustworthiness by aligning with established values and demonstrating expertise. So, why do you think establishing credibility and shared values is so important when persuading audiences? Pause the video and reflect on this. If the audience believes the authors are credible and share their values, they'll likely be more receptive and more willing to be persuaded. Think about it. If someone seems trustworthy and like they have the same values as you, you're more likely to listen to them, right? By using Ethos, the author ensures that their message resonates on a deeper level, making their argument more effective. What else might help an author appeal to their audience? Think about this quote. He has compelled her to submit to laws, in the formation of which she had no voice. Here, the authors are explaining that women are subject to laws that they had no part in creating, because all the lawmakers were men. How does this make you feel? Why would the authors want to invoke such feelings in their audience? Pause the video while you think. Did you feel a sense of anger or injustice that women had no voice in the laws they had to follow? Well, that's exactly what the authors were aiming for. By making the audience feel upset at the unfairness of it, they hoped to inspire them to create change. This is an example of pathos, which is about writers appealing to emotions to persuade the audience. Why do you think evoking emotions is so effective in persuasion? Pause the video and reflect. By making us feel a certain way, Pathos helps drive the message home on a personal level. From anger to joy and everything in between, emotional responses can move people to take action or change their beliefs. Because when you feel strongly about an issue, you're more likely to support the cause. But effective arguments go beyond emotions alone. They also appeal to the logic of their audience. Consider this quote. He has denied her the facilities for obtaining a thorough education, all colleges being closed against her. Here the authors use he to represent all men, and her and she to represent all women. They are pointing out that women couldn't even seek out an education because men didn't allow them to attend college. So, how does this example logically support the message about women's rights? Pause the video while you think. What'd you notice? I'm thinking they presented the fact that colleges were closed to women to show clear evidence of discrimination. By giving a concrete example, the writers highlight the impact of gender inequality in society. This is an example of logos, which is appealing to logic and reason, using facts, statistics, and rational arguments to persuade the audience. So, why do you think logical evidence and reasoning is crucial in persuasion? Pause the video and think. I'm thinking it's much harder for an audience to ignore an argument or deny its validity if it's backed up with logic. By using logos, the author ensures that their message is supported by facts and rational arguments. If the evidence is clear and well-reasoned, the audience is more likely to be persuaded by it. Understanding how the authors of the Declaration of Sentiments used appeals to ethos, pathos, and logos really shows us how persuasion can impact an audience. The three appeals help authors establish credibility with the audience, tap into their emotions, and present logical, compelling arguments.
Anthony realizes that understanding ethos, pathos, and logos helps us become better readers and writers of arguments.
We've convinced the city council to clean up their act, but now I'm aiming for something even bigger, creating a sustainable plan for the future.
And so Anthony heads back to Anthonyland. He's ready to apply what he's learned to create lasting change.
I'll work on my argument to ensure that Anthonyland stays clean and green for generations to come. By using Ethos, I'll build trust and show people that we share the same values. With Pathos, I'll connect on an emotional level to inspire action. And through Logos, I'll present clear, logical reasons why sustainable practices are necessary. Remember, when we master the art of argument, we can truly transform our words into power. Until next time!
Hey!